You know, like, you can decide that having no one around is going to make you feel sad, or you can decide that it gives you all the time in the world to focus on the things that make you happy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like sort of up to you to choose what you're going to do with the spare time that you now have.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about to witness
the journey that is the Life Choices podcast.
Yeah! Welcome back, everybody, to another episode here on the Life Choices podcast. We are welcoming back Pete Casso.
Yo,
There we go. Everything's good, man. Life is always good when you're around. I appreciate you coming by.
Thanks,
you
man.
are now the most visited guest on the Life Choices podcast.
Thank you. I'm honored.
Nice. So once we hit our 10,000 viewership, we'll be able to say that and look back at these episodes and laugh.
One of the OGs.
Yeah.
Very grateful.
Everything we're doing is a practice, and everything we're doing is trying to get better for tomorrow. So
Totally. I love that.
since the last time you were here, the last time we did talk about the relationship, the breakup, that's over and done with. We're on to a new page.
Yeah.
Life is going good.
Yeah.
Right.
Life has been really good, man. Just focusing on work, staying real busy, and really just feeling very good lately.
Yeah, the tattoo shop is doing wonderful.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, in case anyone didn't notice, which I'm sure you did because they're on every episode, but these two pieces of work right here.
Hell yeah.
I want to say in total, probably about like 6 hours on each leg because the outline drawings were done on each leg first. Then we came back and we did that all exciting, fun coloring in on my shins.
Yeah, gnarly.
It fucking hurt.
It was at least 6 hours on each leg. It might have been more.
That's what I'm saying, because the coloring in that we did more recently in August was 4.5 and 5.5.
Okay.
On each leg, and then when you think about the outlining of what we did, and yeah, even with the numb cream, which I use now because I've paid my penance.
Yeah. You got nothing to prove.
No, nothing at all. 19 started, 45 now, still getting ink done.
Yeah.
And I say yes to fucking numb cream, straight up. But the work is amazing.
Thank you.
Everyone that sees my legs, they're just really amazed by it. And then, of course, I always like, hey, check out my boy. This is his Instagram.
appreciate it.
And that's what we're here to do, right? We're here to collaborate. We're here to help support each other and move all of us and our friends forward in life, which is important. Totally. So the new studio's doing well.
Yeah.
Do you have an assistant yet? Do you have a second person in the chair?
When I opened the place up, I set up 2 stations with the intention of having a second artist. I've been not like real aggressively looking, but sort of just keeping my eye out for people that I would potentially want to hire in there. But I'm like kind of being a little picky because I've been working by myself for like the last 3.5 years, and I sort of really like it. I think I've decided I'm going to actually convert it into just one station. I'm going to take the other chair out of there, so you've been in there, push the 2 tool chests that I have together to make like one real long tool chest, and then just move my chair to the middle of the room and make it one
and just do
really dope private studio, you know? And then when I do find somebody that is the right fit, I've got the other chair, I'll move it back in and go back to that way. But for now, while I don't have the person, I'm just going to make it a really nice room for myself.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, another thought, which is still in the tattoo field, I guess, is maybe not a tattoo artist, but maybe and I say female because they tend to be the ones doing it, that does the, what do they do that? The eyebrow
permanent
stuff?
makeup.
Yeah, stuff.
Well, I'm about to, in like the next month or 2, get certified in that as well. So I'm about to add that service to
you can do everything by
my
yourself.
menu. Yeah, but I was thinking about that as well. You know, even like a girl that does eyelashes or like anything like that kind of would fit the vibe of the studio there would be fine. I value more loving the place I walk into every day to work than trying to get $1,000 out of a nail lady to pay some of my rent. You know,
and you're doing fine enough.
Thank God
that the rent is good.
Yeah.
Which speaks volumes because, like we've said in previous episodes, both on mine and on your Past Millennial Mentality podcast, that you've had such a great following and such a great support from people that have known you for so many years in the hospitality industry. And all those people who have come by, like myself, who have gotten excellent work done, have recommended you. If you can run your business with just you, why the fuck not, right?
Yeah.
No headaches.
Totally. And I think there's a little bit that adds to the customer experience too, you know, where when you get to walk in and it's just me and you one-on-one versus, you know, even if it is a cool person with another cool client, like now there's two conversations in the same room, you know, instead of me, like when you come by and get tatted, I feel like we talk the entire time, just like we talk on camera. We have these same conversations just in person when we're tattooing. But imagine how like that wouldn't really be as easy to do when 4 feet away, there's someone else doing the exact same thing, also having their own full-blown conversation, you know? So it just takes away a little bit from like, I don't know, my connection with the client and the client's experience. So I kind of just really like the idea of making it a solo studio.
It is giving the guest experience to another level, because you do also have all the other extras, like the TV where we watch, what is it, the classroom concerts?
Tiny Desk Concert.
Tiny Desk
yeah,
Concert,
people
which
love
I
Tiny
fucking
Desk
love.
Concert. So I like to try and make that experience as comfortable as possible. And then that just one-on-one, like not having like an audience around or a room full of people just kind of helps it be less intimidating for something that is already such an intimidating thing. You know?
Absolutely, because especially if it's someone's first tattoo that's not actually had this experience before,
right.
You have a lot of shit in your head already, but you're not really sure, like, and then you also have the unawareness of what this is going to feel like.
Sure.
You know, and even someone like myself who's been getting ink done for 29, 39, fucking 25-ish some odd years, you still have that thought in your head because it's a new place on your body. Like, okay, am I going to be able to handle this shit? Like,
yeah.
And for someone who's brand new, you know, that's a lot to deal
scary,
with. Yeah.
I think a lot of people, like you were saying in the beginning, when it's their first tattoo, they almost get equally as psyched out about the process prior to the tattoo as they do the pain. You know, like, is this guy going to give me a chance to explain the way that I want it done? Or is he just going to have this butterfly drawn and then I'm going to be too scared to say, no, that's not the way I want it, you know? But then they show up and it's like quite the opposite. You know, technology has now made it so where there was a time in tattooing when it was like that, you know, like you'd make your appointment 2 weeks before. You want a dragon for a half sleeve. When you show up, the guy drew this dragon for your half sleeve and you better like it because that's what he drew you, you know? But now we've got the iPads and like, we can customize and change anything, you know. So
and your style is a little different as well, because you know, I obviously I've gone to other tattoo shops here in South Florida, and usually, you know, you give the deposit, you tell them what you want, they do a drawing, they send it to you, you kind of say, oh no, I want this, I want that, they redo it, whatever, then you show up, they got the stencil and you rock and roll.
Right.
Where you have a different theory on that. You have this idea where, like, okay, you're gonna show up, and yeah, sure, send me some images. Let me know what you're thinking, and I'll look at it. But when you show up, I'm going to use this very cool technology, which is like a fucking pen on an iPad, and we're going to draw it up for you because we're going to talk in person, so I can get more of a feeling for what you're going after, and then we're going to sketch it out, and you're going to okay it right there. My body's just the canvas.
Sure.
And what you're doing for me is you're allowing me to express the story of my life to people, so that when they look at the artwork, they can be like, oh, what's that mean? And then it's kind of like a collaboration. It's the thought process behind it and the artwork itself. So for people out there, if you're trying to get like a mom tattoo, I get it. Go get the font that you want. But if you want something creative that the artist is going to enjoy doing, because that's part of the process, is the artist has to enjoy what they're doing on the body.
Absolutely.
Give the artist a little creative ability.
Yeah.
I want to talk about something actually that kind of makes sense and aligns with what you're doing, being that you are alone in the shop.
Yeah.
And you're deciding, it sounds like, as your business, you're deciding to just be solo in this studio.
Yeah.
And this is going from tattoo artist to completely more serious conversation, but it's the being alone aspect of life, which I look at it as solitude, something that I do regularly. A lot of people probably are not comfortable enough with being by themselves.
Yeah, right.
There are hours in a day where you don't have a customer, or a guest, as I call it, and sometimes you might have 2 in a day. Maybe those 2 are only an hour a piece, so it's only 2 hours of your 8 hours, or whatever you want to call. I don't even know how long you hang out at the shop.
Sure.
Not everyone is like me that's going to come for 4 or 5 hours and sit down. What are your thoughts on being alone? Are you okay with it?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. And it's a new thing for me, honestly, because, you know, like we talked about on my last episode here, and it's been a few months since then, but I'm somewhat fresh out of a long-term relationship, you know, so, and for most of my adult life, I've been in a long-term relationship, you know. What's the term for that? I'm a serial monogamist.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, wait a second. I have a few words, but they might not be the right ones.
I tend to just go from one long-term relationship to the next, you know, and I've done that like my whole adult life. And so that being said, I've never really spent that much time alone. You have to like develop a little bit of like mental and emotional independence, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does to me.
Which I think, and I'm saying this as a person who's like kind of experiencing it right now, you know, when you have someone around all the time, you can get used to that and that like comfort, I guess, of just having company. And then when you don't anymore, that's like a scary thought, you know. And I think that's what keeps people in like toxic relationships for a long time.
The comfortability.
Yeah, and like that fear of being alone, or like what, you know, like if you've had someone, you know, been in a relationship for a really long time, and even if you're not happy in that relationship and you know that person's no good for you, but the thought of being alone is scary, you know. And I think that keeps people in situations that aren't good for them sometimes.
But I think it's a good practice for anybody, and I guess we would be speaking to people of a younger age right now, that you should learn how to be alone for when those times come in your life.
When you say like be alone too, I feel like sometimes some people might hear that and think that it's like a bad thing, you know, like it's not the same thing as saying lonely.
I was just going to say that.
You know what I mean? Yes. Being alone is like okay. And it's
fucking right
it's kind of great if you're looking at it the right way. But I think some people hear being alone and they immediately substitute that with lonely and they think it's like a sad thing, you know, where coming out of this last relationship, and I don't want to like keep chiming on the relationship thing, but I think it's just relevant to what we're talking about. I was like sort of looking forward to being alone versus the scared lonely thing, you know? And not to like take anything away from that relationship or say like I was excited to get out of there, but I think I'm at this point in my life where I've like done a pretty good job conditioning my mind to like focus on the positive in each situation, you know. And coming out of this situation, I was sort of looking forward to finally like being able to be alone, focus on the things that like make me happy. And that I think I had gotten away from for a while, you know, like you tend to sort of just, I don't know, at least I do, just like go with the flow, or you can get away from yourself a little bit when you're in a relationship. And so lately, like the last few months, I've just been like, every day I just do exactly what I want to do. And it's kind of awesome. That's kind of all that being alone is. There's no one to stop you from doing whatever you feel like doing every day and feeling the way you want to feel. And so I don't know. I mean, I realize that it's kind of a unique perspective that I have, maybe, but I sort of love being alone right now.
I love my solitude in the mornings where I just go outside. You know, I wake up, Sushi and I go for a quick walk. I set up my my incense with my waterfalls, my Buddhas, and I got my coffee, and I got my dog, and I get to have a little bit of alone time, not lonely time.
Right, exactly.
And I take that time to do things like, you know, express my gratefulness for having the time. It's my moment to wake up. And I have a roommate. I have two other of my closest friends that live on the property. Once everyone's awake, we are all in our spaces. Yeah. That's just the way it is. So for me, it's a welcomed thing to have that ability to be alone. And even on the nights where people go out drinking, I don't have the FOMO, you know, or if you were in a relationship, you know, maybe someone comes home and all of a sudden they don't have that person. They may look at that, as you're saying, as like a loneliness situation instead of looking at it as like, you know what? I can do whatever the fuck I want right now.
Right.
I don't have to worry about someone else.
Yep.
That's how I look at it.
And I think the other thing too that like I'm now like as we're talking thinking about like what have I been doing for the last few months that has like kept me from feeling lonely. And I think another thing too that a lot of guys are guilty of who have been in long-term relationships is you like stop hanging out with your boys. You know, you get wifed up and all of a sudden fall off the face of the earth, and you
it's
don't
couples
like,
only.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I got very lucky at the same time. You know, that I became single. I also moved into a new apartment, and my best friend Kevin, shout out Papa Taco, lives in the same building. So now we're right next to each other, and so I've you know, just been talking to him a lot, hanging out with him a lot, and like getting back to like doing stuff with the boys, you know, which also feels great.
I mean, eventually you'll be in another committed relationship.
Sure, yeah, it's almost inevitable. I'm certain of it.
But you've obviously somehow in your youth came across being alone as being okay. It's not being lonely, which is nice. So that when these situations happen, you can look at the positive and just continue on with your life, and then you get to experience things like the boys' nights and talking to your family. Or I mean, they're not even upset that you didn't do it. They're just happy that you're doing it again.
Yeah, totally.
Which is nice.
And dude, I mean, I don't want to make it sound like I've always felt this way. Like, this is kind of the first relationship I feel like I've gotten out of where I like wasn't worried about being alone. Before, that was always the fear, you know? And like I was saying the thing about toxic relationships because I was guilty of it. I stayed in a relationship that was bad for me for like 6 months just out of fear of like, fuck, it's going to really suck to be here all by myself if this ends, you know? Let me just try and fix it. Let me keep trying to fix it, knowing it was, like, hopeless. But just that fear of being alone, I think, you know, kept me in it. Yeah. And so, yeah, it was a learned behavior, you know? It's not something that I've just always understood, like, and I think that's important to say just for people who are feeling that loneliness, or it might be in one of those relationships. Like, it's normal to feel that way, but
your happiness is more important than your fear of not being in a relationship, I think.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And it's not as scary as it seems, you know? Like, you're going to be fine. It will feel lonely at first.
Yeah, but you, like, Steve Harvey has a thing right now, or he had a thing, or I've seen it recently, where he's like, your success rate of surviving is 100%.
Yeah.
Because you're here.
Yeah.
Whatever bullshit, whatever headache, whatever loss of a job, loss of a relationship, death of a family member, whatever thing happened that you thought, fuck, I can't go on. Mm-hmm. If you're still here, you survive that.
Right.
All of that. Yeah. 100% survival rate. Right. So you're doing pretty good in the surviving aspect, right? Yeah. For anyone out there.
Sure.
So anyone out there that might be, you know, as we're kind of coming back to talking about relationships again, anyone out there that might feel that being alone is scary and oh, I should stay in a relationship because I have someone to come home to and I don't want to not have that, right, because you're worried about not being able to survive, you'll fucking survive.
Yeah.
You know, unless a piano lands on you, or God forbid you get in a car accident. I don't know why I'm going down this road now. But the reality is you'll survive.
Right.
You know, you got your people, you got yourself. Pick yourself up, move the fuck on, stay happy, and don't stay in anything, a job, a relationship, anything that's not making you happy, get the fuck out of it. 100%. You'll survive.
Yeah. As corny as this sounds, it's like the loneliness part is like all sort of just a mindset. You know, like you can decide that having no one around is going to make you feel sad, or you can decide that it gives you all the time in the world to focus on the things that make you happy. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like sort of up to you to choose what you're going to do with the spare time that you now have.
I'm 1,000% deciding, and I've been deciding for the past couple years, and a couple of ladies have not been happy with my decision.
Yeah.
Of being alone.
Right.
Because I'm too focused and too busy with keeping my job that I do daily, which I just got a recent one in the yachting industry. I'm good.
Yeah.
Again.
Nice.
My roller coaster of job and no job. So I'm good for I want to say a few months at least. You know, I'm in a very good, happy situation. I have a newfound love for cooking again. And so my availability for time is what I say very, very small. And I put certain aspects of my life in priority, which is job that pays the bills, podcast, which is what I'm trying to, you know, create as my lifelong ambition, friends, family, and then, you know, females.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, they're at the bottom rung right now.
Yeah.
And I enjoy having all the time that I have to put forth to my work. Mm-hmm. You know, 24 hours in a day. I'm programming myself to survive off of 6 hours of sleep.
Okay.
7 was the one that was comfortable, is what I was doing for a long time. And now I'm slowly, because 4:30 was wake up, and I'm right now I'm at 4:15. Wow. And I'm trying to get to 4, but I'm staying up later. I'm the last one home now on the compound. It's so weird. So when I get home, everyone's pretty much already at home, outside, you know, and it's like 7-ish or whatever. And I want to have time with my boys. And if I have to do any editing, if I have to do any quick any work that I still have to do for my business has to get done, but I also want to have time with them. So I'm like, okay, I got to stay up later.
You go to bed at 10. What time are you like getting in bed?
So that's the thing. Like, I'm pretty fucking tired at that point.
Yeah.
That I set my alarm and put my phone under the pillow. So there's no playing with the phone. It's just when I'm getting into bed, it's Sushi and I go for a walk. We get into bed. I want to say maybe 9:45. I might get into bed at 10 right now because I'm getting up at 4:15.
And you fall asleep pretty quick.
On most nights. So I'll get up at 4, full day of work, on my feet, cooking, come back, do some work on the laptop or whatever. That's mine activity, I guess you could say. So by the time I hit the pillow, like, my body and mind are pretty fucking tired. And it gives me a better opportunity of sleeping the whole 6 hours.
So I have a morning routine and a nighttime routine checklist, like, in my office at my house on a whiteboard. And it's just a checklist. And some of it's like simple as fuck. Like, in my morning routine, I've got like brush your teeth and floss. But there's a satisfaction with checking the box. It feels good checking the box every day. And I mean, obviously, it's not all that simple. There's other good shit on there, like meditate and write my gratitude list and other shit. But there's a satisfaction with even just kind of like what people say about making the bed. Like, if you start your day with like a difficult task or something, like a disciplined task, then like it sets you up for success for the rest of the day. And that's why I really like that morning routine thing and actually physically having boxes to check, because it's like, I don't know, I started my day off right, by not slacking, by not doing that bullshit busy work, but doing the things that I know make me better every day. And like, I'm setting myself up for success, I guess, for the day. And if I do that every day, like, I'm fucking unstoppable.
100%. Like, I mean, you're setting the right mindset for yourself before you leave the door. And all the people that I follow, like, their inspirational stuff on TikTok or on Instagram, and it's people like Kobe and Steve Harvey, they all talk about the same things that we talk about, which is like getting those little tasks done in the morning, making sure that you're going to be successful. And if you put in all those practices that you're talking about, who's going to beat you? Who's going to beat you? Right? If, like, I mean, Kobe, he'd fucking 3 practices a day, would go to the gym at like, I think something like at 2 a.m. or something. Don't quote me on that. But, he would already do a practice before the team showed up for the practice. And, his mentality of, you do that little thing of starting earlier every day for a month, 6 months, a year. By the time someone else jumps on that same idea as you're already way ahead of them. Like, they have to do so much more because you're still going to be doing that. For them to catch up to you is just like, it's just not going to. You put in the effort, you put in the time, you put in the practice. And now for someone that is new to not do that level of practice is not going to get to where you are now. The smile on your face, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's something that people get really, it's weird. People get pushed off by it because they're like, well, why is he so happy? Why is he so successful? And it's like, motherfucker, because he wakes up every fucking day and goes after it.
Yeah, man.
So good for you on all that.
Well, thank you, bro. I really appreciate that. Those were a lot of really nice things you said. Thank you very much. Yeah, man, I'm very grateful. And that's another important part of my morning routine is doing a gratitude list. That's like the number one thing in my life. And that's been the case for a really long time.
You're a huge reason why I do it every day.
Thanks, man.
No,
I love
100%,
that.
100%.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
It is, I've been talking to a lot of people about it, I feel like, lately, but like, it's a
game changer.
It's literally life-changing for me personally, like it feels like a fucking magical book that I have. And that might sound silly for some people to hear, but like, I genuinely feel that way. When I write in that book the things that I want in my life,
Do you pray at all? Or do you just do the gratitude list?
I just do the gratitude list, and then after I write it, I'll visualize for like 20 minutes. I've got like this acupuncture mat that I lay on, and the whole time I write my gratitude list, I have like meditation music that I listen to.
Okay.
Because I've been doing this for like 10 years now, maybe, where I've convinced myself that if I listen to the same meditation music every time, maybe I can like hypnotize myself into being like in that state of mind, you know? So every time when I go to write the gratitude list, I put on the meditation music, and I think it kind of like clears my head so I can just focus on what I'm writing. Because if you're writing the gratitude list, but you're thinking in your head, man, fuck that lady who cut me off in traffic, it's not working, you know? Like, that's not the point. So I need to like clear my mind before I start.
Okay, I get
and that's
it.
sort of my way.
Yeah.
And so then for like 20 minutes after I finish the gratitude list, I lay on this acupuncture mat, and then I just close my eyes and visualize everything I just wrote down. Because 90% of what's on my list I don't actually have. I'm writing that I'm grateful for having it, but I don't actually have it yet. And so then I'll go and visualize my life with those things and me having, you know, the thing that I want.
The visualization is awesome because you have to visualize, you have to see yourself there in order for your body to catch up to it. I like that aspect.
I don't understand like the science behind it, but I feel like for me at least, it's really easy when you've got this new like task that you have to do every day of writing a gratitude list to like just be trying to check the box. So you hurry up, you jot down the gratitude list, close the book. Okay, I did it, you know, and I can feel like I did it. But the visualization like makes you slow that down sort of and like really process everything you just wrote down.
Yeah.
You know
and
what I mean?
and really focus on the details of what you're visualizing, right?
And the point is to feel like you have that thing that you're trying to manifest, you know? And there's no better way to feel it than to close your eyes and imagine you're in that situation, you know?
So interesting that you say this. A couple things. First off, suggestion is instead of saying that you have to do these things, like for anyone out there that's going to try these practices, instead of saying have to do it,
you get to
or I want to.
Yeah.
You know, I look forward to doing this twice a day.
Yeah.
I keep losing the thing that I want to point out that you said. The gratitude list of you're grateful for being able to see and smell and hear and all those things and have my 2 feet and the functionality of both my eyes. Like that's important. But the being grateful for what's about to happen that you don't yet have is a huge thing in my gratitude, because I have a gratitude list that I've memorized. I never wrote it down. I've memorized it by saying it over and over again, and it's about 2 or 3 minutes long that I recite this stuff out loud, so I have the auto suggestion. But half of this stuff is about the future.
Right.
Like one little aspect of it is I always give thanks every morning and every night. I say part of it is I'm very grateful that that you've allowed my mother to stay physically and mentally healthy long enough in order to see my company, Life Choices, become the success that it is. But furthermore, the success it's going to become in order for her to come on all the talk show tours with me.
Nice.
Like that's an obscure thing to say twice a day all the time, right? But I do every fucking day.
Yeah,
and it's funny because I haven't gone to the point of lying down, but when I say it, I visualize myself on certain talk shows. I don't even know all the talk shows anymore.
Yeah.
But certain ones that I know my mom would just love to be in the front row of. And I can literally see myself sitting in that chair with that host and saying, oh, I just want to shout out to my mom sitting right there.
Yep.
And then the camera goes on her. Like all of that. And then that host being like, oh, hi, mom. Like all of that together. And that's why like I don't think it's not going to happen, because it's like I can see the whole aspect of it. It might not happen for 10 years, but 2 things are happening there. A, it's going to happen because I'm visualizing it, I'm thinking it, I know it's happening. B, my mom's still going to be alive.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like that in itself is the biggest gift of all of it.
Right.
So I love that idea of like.
And when you think that, or when you're saying that to yourself and you're imagining it in your head, you feel some type of way, like it makes you excited. You can't help but like smile when you think about it. And that feeling that you get, I don't know what it is, but like for me, that's like, fucking feels like manifesting.
Dude, that's the vibration. That's the energy.
Right. That's kind of what I was trying to say without sounding too woo-woo.
No, but you know what? Fuck the woo-woo, okay?
Yeah.
I'm all about the woo-woo, okay?
That feeling is fucking crazy, and I, like, look for it every day.
You pointed out one of the books over here, and I don't know if it's from that book or another one of these books over here, but the physical being and the inner self. when they align is what that feeling is. And they align because they're vibrating on the same frequency. Now, I haven't dove into the full psychological, scientific aspect of that.
Right.
This is the second episode I've now mentioned her. Shout out to Jennifer Alley. She was on an episode before this episode, and she does awareness of consciousness. And she talks about vibrations and energy and all that sort of stuff. And it was very interesting to have her on here. That stuff is not full of shit. That stuff is real.
Yeah, man.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much evidence of that in life. And the proof is when you have that feeling, you know that there's something else going on.
Right.
And that's the energy and the vibration of the world.
Yep.
And it's funny because when you came in today, Francesco was leaving, the gentleman that owns Juiceaholics. And we started talking about this, and he brought in the aspect of the energies that you were getting from the right foods, which help the physical being that you are
Interesting.
become longer.
Yeah.
You know, which yeah, it's all intertwined.
Yeah, I believe that.
Yeah.
This is another kind of interesting thing that I kind of wanted to bring up because you're someone that is practicing the gratitude list. And like, I start every gratitude list giving gratitude for the law of attraction. So like my first paragraph in every gratitude list is always, I'm so happy and grateful for the law of attraction. It works so quickly and accurately through me. Every day I'm effortlessly able to maintain a positive mindset and manifest the life that I want. My life is magic. And that's for like 10 years, I think that's been every gratitude list. That's the first paragraph. And so I'm like trying to manifest that the law of attraction works good inside me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then
and it does though. It does though, because even with the downfalls in your life that may have come by,
sure,
look where you're at.
Yeah, and I believe that 100%. I feel like I believe in all of this stuff very much so. I just tend not to I don't want to ever push it on anyone. I don't really give a fuck if...
No, but that's why we sit here and have this conversation, you and I, because we're both believers in it.
Yeah.
We both have witnessed it actually working.
Yeah.
There is no motherfucker here that we're trying to solicit this to.
Yeah, right.
Whoever joins in and watches or listens to us on Spotify is doing it because they want to.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So any of the naysayers on this topic can keep their naysaying and fuck off.
Yeah, it's totally fine.
Without even knowing it, we had the purest form of manifestation as a child without knowing.
Yeah.
Because whether it was Christmas, Hanukkah,
right,
birthday, whatever it might have been that you wrote a list of things that you wanted, or maybe you just wrote a journal back then of things you wanted,
right,
and then you would flip through the pages and see it, and you were actually manifesting those things, not knowing that maybe some of that had part to do with your parents' financial ability.
Sure, yeah.
But at the same time, you were still trying manifestation without even knowing what the fuck it was back then.
Mm-hmm. The point is that I'm putting it out into the universe that I am already grateful for in the present tense, because I believe if I write it in the future tense, I'm so grateful that one day I'll make $1 million, then it's always going to be in the present tense. It's always going to be one day.
Oh, no. I have the specific date.
Right, exactly. You get as specific as possible. If you want to make more money, don't write, I'm so grateful that now I'm making more money.
No.
How much money? And if it's this much money per year, you should know how much money do you have to make per week to make that much money per year. You know? So, get as specific as you can, because then it makes the vision that much easier. If you know exactly what it is you want, visualizing that thing is easy.
I have a date. I have an amount of net worth.
Yeah.
I have a date of when.
Yeah.
It's so specific. And it's so funny because I feel like both of us, on top of the whole gratitude list thing, it's not just about us. Yeah. You know, there's things that we say about the future for others.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what the first thing is, but the second thing that I say, and it's funny how you just said this. I'm just thinking now, every one of the points that I am grateful for, I always say, I am grateful for, and then I say it. So the second thing I say is I'm grateful for both my brothers, Martin David and Stephen David, being able to live long and healthy, happy lives with their wives and children. Then it's the part about my mom. Then I say I'm very grateful that my father is up there with you, looking over me, helping me every step of the way. I don't know how else to say anything. And not only am I super excited inside because I'm really wishing the best for my family. I'm even giving gratitude for, unfortunately my father being gone.
Right.
I still and I look up because that's for me. I'm not saying it's the truth. I'm saying for me to live my life, I look up and I give thanks that my Father is up there with God, looking over me and protecting me every step of the way. And that allows me not to forget about my Father, because I still talk to him every day in that aspect.
Yeah.
And it fills me with joy, because on those days where something good or something bad happens that I would normally turn to my Father, I still do.
Yeah, right.
You know? So I like that point. I didn't realize it until you said it, that, yeah, I say every sentence with I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
And then I continue.
I think that's important when it comes to like the manifesting part, you know, but the future and present tense thing, because like I was saying, if you phrase it as if it's like going to happen in the future, I think that it will always like kind of be in the future. You're supposed to be wording it as if you're grateful that you have it now, even if you don't.
There's a rapper. Sorry to cut you off. There's a rapper, and I'm not gonna remember who his name is, but he and it was a clip. It was a clip or a TikTok or reel. I don't fucking know, but it was something, and he basically said that I've manifested everything that I've ever wanted, and I can see where I'm gonna go because it's already happened, and I'm just giving my body the time to catch up to it. Something to that aspect.
Yeah, that's
and when
nice.
I thought about that, I was like, bet, because I know how much money I'm going to be worth. And I'm not going after money. I'm going after building a company to the success level that it's going to get that kind of net worth.
Right.
And it's interesting because it's like, yeah, like I'm one of those people, like I'm okay with still doing the job that I'm doing, knowing that in 10 years, I'm going to have the life that I want 10 years from now.
Yeah.
Because I'm grateful that today I'm living the life I wanted 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Without even knowing it. Because 10 years ago, I didn't think like this. I didn't do this sort of stuff.
Yeah, sure.
But when I think about what I was dreaming about being, or the individual I wanted to be, or the people I wanted in my life 10 years ago, I fucking got that shit right now.
Yeah, right.
You know, like it's almost unbelievable for other people. The whole point is being grateful for what you want, but understanding that where you are now is most likely where you wanted to be before.
Yeah, right. That's the thing, dude. I mean, I'm going to bring this back to the gratitude list over and over again, but that's the thing I love about having it physically written down, I guess, versus your like verbal thing that you've been doing for a long time. Because I'll sometimes find an old notebook and start looking through it. Yeah. And the shit that's on those gratitude lists that I have now gives you that instant feeling of like, look at this, I did it, you know? I remember something new that I've started doing like in the last few months with my gratitude list is I write down where I'm at when I'm writing it. Because sometimes I'll be at the gym, sometimes I'll be at home. It's really the only two places I ever write. But if I ever am somewhere else, I'll write it. So hopefully one day when I look back, I can try and like remember, oh, I actually remember this day when I was writing this thing down. And now look, I've got it, you know? Because that feeling feels really fucking good. That's that little energy aligning feeling I'm talking about. As soon as I see it happen in real life, it happens sometimes too. Like I can remember, I look through my gratitude list from jail all the time because I saved like my folder of everything from jail. And I made like 2 gratitude lists a day while I was in there because why not? But like a month after getting out of jail, I got the car that I was writing about every single day. This is a much longer story, but I'll keep it brief. A month after getting out of jail, I got the car that I was writing about every single day. It was a white Mercedes. And I can remember driving to work that night, holding the steering wheel of the Mercedes, which is exactly what I had been visualizing after I would write it. Like I would imagine my hands being on the steering wheel and like seeing my hands on the steering wheel. And then that day that I got it, driving to work and in real life seeing my hands on the steering wheel and having that feeling. And it was, this time I was maybe like 19. It was one of my first times going like, oh, I did this with that fucking notebook. It felt crazy. And ever since then, I'm just so convinced that I can make anything happen.
But I think that's a good point. It's like you've convinced yourself, you believe it yourself so much that it just has to happen. I think that's another part of the law of attraction for sure. Yeah. How much of your where you're at now? How do I want to bring this in? I'm thinking like environment. And how your environment can dictate your outcome, and kind of knowing when you've either grown out of your environment or knowing when it's time to remove yourself from your environment.
Nice. Yeah, I like that latter part. I'm very, this whole conversation has been like about mindset almost, you know, and like the gratitude list is, you know, an attachment of like my mindset. So I'm very protective of that. And when something starts affecting me negatively, if that's, a person, I don't know if this is a good characteristic or not, but I'm pretty quick to like cut people off that don't affect my mindset positively, and not like in a rude way, but just if I've spent time around people that make me not feel good, I just will kind of not spend time around those people.
That's literally what I'm getting at is knowing what you've surrounded yourself with, and knowing how important it is to remove yourself from it or remove them.
And we don't have to have a conversation about it even. It's not like I need to say, hey, we're not going to be hanging out anymore because I don't like that you did this, this, and this. I just am going to separate myself a little bit, and I can do that silently. There doesn't have to be a confrontation. I don't need to fix anybody and correct their behavior. I just don't, it doesn't make me feel good when I'm around it, so I separate myself. And I think I'm pretty good about doing that, which it might be new for me. I don't know that I've always been that way, but these days, I just don't have time for anything that doesn't make me feel good.
Don't have time for anything that's going to prevent you from getting the outcome that you want.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I think everyone should feel that way.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with a circle of people that have the same goals and ambitions as you is gonna, I think, get you much further, much faster.
Yeah.
And I don't think that means you cut out anyone in your life that, isn't ambitious and doesn't want to, do the things you want to do. But I think you need to be careful how you allocate your time and energy when you're on that path of growth, because...
And like you said, you don't have to be rude. You don't have to be mean about it. And I don't think you actually even would, because I think once, I'm always going to relate this to me because that's the only thing I actually truly know about. Mm-hmm. Once you make that decision, or once you notice what it is that's not helping you, and you're like, okay, I can't do that anymore. I can't be around that person all the time. You're not going to be rude. You're going to do other things that will prevent you from spending time at those places or with those people. Mm-hmm. And you'll now fill that time with what it is that you're trying to get done. Mm-hmm. And you're going to avoid any, I don't think anyone's ever been like, yo, dude, I can't hang out with you anymore. You're not helping me move forward in life. Mm-hmm. You just stop hanging out with that person, and you create a new environment. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah, I think you owe it to yourself.
I'm going to bring it back to what we were talking about earlier, which is about vibration.
Yeah.
Vibration and energy. And you're right. It doesn't matter. You and I are similar. We like a neat place. We like everything where it needs to be. Other people function highly with their bed not made and their room a mess. But it doesn't matter. It's knowing what environment works best for you. Yeah. Making sure it is that way for you, because now you're vibrating on a high energy level because you're happy with your surroundings, and you will go and attack everything that there is out there for you on a high vibration. Yeah. It's absolutely fucking right. I personally, let's say like on a Friday night, if I choose not to do anything and I've got my work done, but I still have some time before bed, that is when I will try to get all that busy work done, so that when I wake up in the morning, like my laundry folded and put away, my desk all neat and tidy, the table, my office, the kitchen table has all my stuff laid out. If I'm filming, the studio set up the night before, because then all those little things I don't have to do. So when I wake up, my environment is exactly vibrating where it needs to be. So when I wake up and I come out here, I'm already in a good mood because, hey, I see the studio set up. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm filming today. And my mind is fucking right. So my energy level inside and my vibration physically and mentally are together. And there's no way I can't fucking knock it out of the park today.
Yep.
Yeah.
And set yourself up for success.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter what, and again, if you're the flip side of us and you like a mess,
right.
And you like putting that stuff together the day of, then do it that way. And you will notice the consciousness that you have is being aware of everything's the way you want it in your environment, and you're going to do well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the message that we're both saying, is it's not about, whether it's clean or dirty or whatever the situation. It's about being in tune enough with your own self, knowing what makes you feel good, and putting yourself in that position as often as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Pete, as always, look at that. Over an hour already's passed, and
it's easy to do.
Right? It's just such an easy conversation. I want to thank you, as always, coming back time and time again to the show. You're
Happy
like
to
I
do
said,
it.
for the rest of the Life Choices podcast. I have a few things actually I didn't mention that I was gonna, but I didn't. We have some interesting stuff we're gonna talk about off screen about season 3, which is gonna start filming in February. Which you definitely going to come by there and see what that's about, which will be very, very interesting. As always, Pete's information, his socials, his Instagrams, the In the Biz Inc., all that's down below for you if you want to get a tattoo from Pete, or if you really like the conversations that we have here on the Life Choices podcast and want to reach out to Pete, hit him up on Instagram, DM him. I'm sure he'll have time to chat with you.
Totally.
For all you lifers out there, every week, I'm loving you. Thank you for coming back every Tuesday at 2 to watch us here on the podcast. All of our information is down below. If you're liking the new vibe that we're doing here on the Life Choices podcast, leave us a comment. If you don't like what we're doing, let me know what you're not liking about it so I can fix it for you, okay? Otherwise, emails are down below. All our social links, Spotify, everything's down below for you. And we will see you once again next week here, Tuesday at 2 p.m. on the Life Choices podcast. Much love, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen,
you are now about
The Journey Life Choices Podcast.